$90 billion. Just sitting there. In farming. In Southeast Asia. And almost nobody in the mainstream business world is talking about it. Yet. Here's the actual number. Southeast Asia's agriculture sector has the potential to add $90 billion to the region's annual GDP. That's the total value of everything the economy produces by 2033. Not through magic. Not through some speculative tech moonshot. Just by going digital. That's a decade-long runway, and the starting gun has already fired. Now you might be wondering, why agriculture? Why here? Look, Southeast Asia feeds hundreds of millions of people. It's one of the most agriculturally rich regions on the planet. But here's the kicker. It's also one of the least digitized farming sectors in the world. Think of it like a factory still running on 1990s machinery while every competitor has fully automated. The inefficiency isn't subtle. It's staggering. And here's where it gets really painful. The region loses $40 billion every single year to post-harvest losses. That means roughly 30% of everything grown. 1 in 3 mangoes, 1 in 3 kilos of rice, 1 in 3 trays of vegetables. Just rots before it ever reaches a plate or a market stall. Gone. And if you've ever run a business where inventory spoils or supply chains fall apart, you already feel this pain at a micro level. Now multiply that across millions of small farms spread across Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and beyond. The problem isn't that Southeast Asia isn't growing enough food. The problem is there's no infrastructure, no data, no digital plumbing to move that food efficiently from farm to fork. And here's the thing about massive, proven inefficiencies. They don't just signal a problem, they signal an opportunity, a structural one. AgriTech. That's agricultural technology. The digital tools and platforms built specifically for the farming sector. Isn't some niche side bet in this region. It's a decade-defining growth story, sitting right at the intersection of a $40 billion problem and a $90 billion prize. So who's already cracked this code? And what can Southeast Asia actually learn from them? That's exactly where we're going next. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because that $90 billion opportunity, it didn't exactly translate into smooth sailing for the people chasing it. Agritech funding in Southeast Asia crashed by nearly 70%, from over $750 million at its peak in 2022 down to a fraction of that by 2025. That's not a dip. That's a sector-wide reality check. So what actually went wrong? Short answer. Companies got greedy with growth. Around 60% of agritech failures in this period came down to wrong scaling. Businesses that expanded too fast, too wide, before they'd even properly solved the problem in a single market. Think about it like opening 10 restaurant branches before your first one is even profitable. That's exactly what these startups did. Burning through investor cash while completely ignoring unit economics, whether each individual customer or transaction was actually making money. This is what we call the unicorn model. The flashy T20 slogger who swings for the boundary every single ball, scores fast, looks brilliant, and then gets out cheaply. Investors absolutely loved it in 2021 and 2022 when cheap money was flowing everywhere. But the moment interest rates rose globally and capital got expensive, patience evaporated overnight. And look, the funding crash isn't just bad news, it's a signal. The market is done funding vanity metrics, growth numbers that look great on a slide deck but don't actually translate to profit. The businesses that survived, the ones attracting real capital right now, are the ones with real revenue, real farmer relationships, and real local knowledge. For you, whether you're building a startup or running an established business, the lesson here is brutal and simple. Execution depth beats expansion speed every single time. A business that truly owns one market, one city, one crop is worth more than a business that half serves 10. The funding winter hurts, but it's also clearing the noise. So who actually survives a crash like this? And what does the playbook look like going forward? That's exactly what we're getting into next. So if the unicorn model is broken, what actually works? Let's talk about who wins from here. Meet the workhorse model. And honestly, this is where the real money is. Think cricket. The unicorn is your T20 slogger. Explosive, crowd-pleasing, but one bad over and it's all over. The workhorse? That's your test match batsman. Reading the pitch. Building patiently. Session by session, run by run. Slower? Sure. But way more likely to still be at the crease on day 5. That is the playbook for Southeast Asian agritech right now. 3 types of businesses are genuinely positioned to win over the next 5 to 10 years. First, solution providers going straight at the core problem. Digital supply chains, cold storage, sustainable food platforms, farm fintech. And here is a number worth burning into your brain. There is a $15 billion financing gap for smallholder farmers across the region. Millions of farmers with zero access to basic loans or insurance. That is not a sad statistic. That is an enormous, underserved market sitting wide open. Any business that credibly bridges that gap? Massive opportunity. Second, single country specialists. Indonesia's rice supply chain looks nothing like Vietnam's coffee export ecosystem. The businesses that go truly deep into one country, mastering the soil, the regulations, the farmer relationships. They build competitive moats that a regional generalist simply cannot copy. And third, patient capital. Funds willing to wait 7 to 10 years, backing workhorse companies instead of chasing quick exits. As the hype cycle cools, these investors find less competition and far better valuations. The gold rush phase? Done. What is starting now is slower, harder, and honestly far more rewarding for anyone willing to play the long game. If your thesis is built on deep local execution and solving a real problem, Southeast Asian AgriTech has a seat at the table with your name on it. That is the full picture. Thanks for watching.